Okay, so I want you to try a little thought experiment with me. It might feel a bit weird, maybe a little existentially spooky, but just stick with me here.
I'm intrigued.
All right. Close your eyes for a second. Picture the Earth, spinning in space. You've got the blue oceans, the swirling clouds, the continents.
Got it. The blue marble.
Exactly. Now, in your mind, I want you to reach in and just delete one species. Us. No humans.
Okay. So no cities, no satellites, no giant plastic islands in the Pacific.
Gone. Completely wiped from the timeline. Now, usually when you hear that setup, it's the start of some post-apocalyptic story, right?
Yeah, the story starts after we've messed everything up.
Right, after the zombie virus or the nukes.
Yeah.
It's always a story about our ruins and our leftovers.
Exactly. It's the classic world without us idea. But that always assumes we were here, we broke a bunch of stuff, and then, left the mess for nature to clean up.
Yes. But that is not what we are doing today. We're looking at a timeline where we never showed up in the first place. The question isn't what happens after we die, it's what happens if we never lived.
So does the world just go quiet? Does it become a boring, empty rock?
That's the question. And spoiler alert, the answer is a definite no. You could actually argue it gets a lot louder.
A lot hairier, too.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into this amazing piece of speculative biology called The Earth That Never Was, a chronicle of the Un-Anthropocene. And let me tell you, this source is it's wild, it's scientific, it's super witty, and honestly, a little bit cynical about our place in the universe.
It really is. It basically throws out the whole idea that we're the main characters of Earth's story. The picture it paints is a world that is just significantly wilder, ecologically richer, and, funnily enough, a lot cooler literally than ours.
Okay, so let's unpack that. We have to start at the beginning, or I guess the point where things split.
The divergence point.
Yeah, because usually it's like an asteroid that hits or misses, or a dinosaur that survives something.
Right, but this is way more subtle, which I think makes it so much more compelling. The source puts the split at about 6 million years ago. We're in the Rift Valley in Africa.
Okay.
In our history, our ancestors stood up, looked around the savannah, and started walking on 2 legs.
Which freed up our hands for tools and weapons and eventually, scrolling on our phones.
Precisely. But in this other timeline, the ancestor of Homo sapiens has a totally different reaction. This little proto-human stands up, and it realizes that walking upright puts a huge amount of strain on the lower back.
Which, to be fair, anyone over 30 can tell you is absolutely true. My back is killing me right now.
The source actually points out that it's a scientifically accurate assessment. Bipedalism is objectively terrible for your spine. So in this timeline, that ape just decides, you know what, this hurts, I'm not doing it, and just stays up in the trees.
I love that. The entire fate of the planet, the pyramids, the moon landing, the internet, all of it, just gone because one of our ancestors had a bad back day.
That's pretty much it. And because that ape stays in the canopy, we get the Un-Anthropocene.
The age of everything else.
Exactly. And the immediate results are pretty obvious. No pyramids, no taxes, and, as the author points out, no YouTube comment sections.
Which, let's be honest, might be a net positive for the universe right there.
I think so.
But our mission today is to explore what is there. Because the whole thesis of this text is this ultimate irony that maybe the planet is actually working better, or at least more interestingly, without us.
It calls us the hairless ape anomaly, like we're a glitch in the system. And without that glitch, the Earth is still a playground for the real heavyweights. Which brings us to the first huge difference. The empire of the megafauna.
Okay, visually, this part of the text just blew my mind. When I think of Europe or North America now, Paris, New York, I think of cities, farms, suburbs. But in this world,
it is the domain of the woolly mammoth, Mammoths primigenius.
And we're not talking about just a few of them wandering around, right? We're talking huge populations.
Oh, absolutely booming. And to get why they're there, you have to understand the Pleistocene extinction event. In our timeline, starting around 40,000 years ago, most of the world's really big animals just vanished.
And we used to think that was just climate change, right? The Ice Age ended, so the big furry animals died off.
That was the old theory. But a lot of modern science and this source lean very heavily into something called the overkill hypothesis.
Overkill?
Basically, humans showed up, we were hungry, we were really good with pointy sticks, and these giant animals had never seen a predator like us before. We just wiped them out.
So in the Earth that never was, the apes stay in the trees, the pointy sticks never get made, and that extinction is just canceled.
Exactly. The mammoths survive. And this is where it gets really deep ecologically. They aren't just, big hairy cows eating grass. The source calls them geoengineers.
Geoengineers. Sounds
Yeah.
like they're building dams or something.
In a way, they're building an entire ecosystem. Think about an elephant in Africa today. It knocks over trees, it tramples saplings, it physically stops a forest from growing.
So if you have millions of mammoths all over Europe and Asia,
You don't get the Black Forest, you don't get those dense, dark woods from fairy tales, you get the mammoth steppe. It's this vast, incredibly productive grassland that stretches from France all the way across Russia to Alaska.
that is just a wild image. Herds of mammoths grazing where the Eiffel Tower is supposed to be.
And it's not just a visual thing. That grassland changes the whole carbon cycle. The whole planet is different.
So the entire northern hemisphere is basically the Serengeti, but with snow. But what about the South? The source says South America becomes a horror show of biodiversity.
Horror show in the best possible way. And the star of that show is the giant ground sloth, the Megatherium.
Okay, you have to paint the picture here. So when I hear sloth, I think of those cute, slow little guys hanging from a branch.
Right. Now scale that up to the size of a modern elephant. It walks on its knuckles because its claws are too massive to put flat on the ground. It's this huge lumbering tank.
Wow.
And despite its size, the text gives it this savage roast. It says the giant ground sloth has the brain processing speed of a DMV line.
Ouch. That is brutal. So big body, but the lights are on and nobody's home.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But, and this is a huge but, this slow-witted giant is the sole reason for one of our favorite modern foods.
Don't tell me. The avocado.
The avocado. This is a specific fun fact the source highlights to explain a bigger evolutionary idea. Have you ever looked at an avocado pit and just wondered, why is this thing so ridiculously big?
Yeah, nothing can eat that. A squirrel can't handle it. A deer would choke.
Exactly. It's what's called an evolutionary anachronism. The avocado evolved to be eaten by Megatherium. That sloth was the only animal big enough to just swallow it whole, fruit and pit, walk a few miles.
And then deposit the seed in a giant pile of all-natural fertilizer.
It was the delivery truck for avocados. In our timeline, when the sloths died, the avocado should have died with them. We accidentally saved it because we started farming it.
But in the Un-Anthropocene, they are everywhere. Just wild, abundant avocado forests because the sloths are still on the job.
And this is the core irony the author loves to point out. In this world, the sloth is the hero of avocado toast. It's doing all the work. But there are absolutely no hipsters around to enjoy it.
It's like tragic comedic timing on a geological scale. A paradise of guacamole with no chips.
Tragic.
Okay, so we've got mammoths terraforming Europe and sloths farming avocados. Let's zoom out a little. What about the planet itself? The climate.
This is the part the source calls the climate reality check. In our world, the Anthropocene is all about warming. We're pumping out CO2, trapping heat. In this timeline, the Earth is decidedly cooler.
How much cooler? Like a new ice age.
Well, it's leaning that way. The text notes that without us and our Industrial Revolution, the planet is technically sliding toward the next glacial period anyway. Carbon dioxide levels are just sitting at a nice, stable, pre-industrial 280 parts per million.
And for context, we're pushing past 420 ppm right now. So 280 is the baseline.
It's the natural baseline, and this actually ties back to the mammoths. Remember that mammoth stuff?
That's giant grassland, yes.
So grass is lighter in color than a dark pine forest. In physics, that's the albedo effect. A light surface reflects heat back into space. A dark one absorbs it. So because the mammoths keep the forests from growing, the whole northern hemisphere is basically acting like a giant mirror.
So the mammoths are actually helping to keep the planet cool.
Exactly. It's a feedback loop. A cooler planet means more ice. The source says the polar ice caps are robust, massive, which means sea levels are way lower.
And there was a specific and frankly hilarious geographical consequence of that.
Florida.
It's bigger.
Significantly bigger. A lot of the continental shelf is exposed, so Florida is almost twice the size.
So let me get this straight. No global warming, stable sea levels, more land, and giant cool animals roaming around. It sounds kind of perfect.
Well, hang on. The source is very, very careful to clarify this is not a Disney movie. It is not a utopia.
Right, it uses the phrase brutal equilibrium.
It is. Take wildfires. In our world, we try to suppress them. We see them as a disaster. In this timeline, without us, wildfires are described as planet-scouring events.
Planet scouring. That sounds absolutely terrifying.
Think massive fires that just reset entire continents every few decades. But here's the trade-off, and this is central to the text's whole argument.
Yeah.
These fires are part of the system. They are, in the long run, carbon neutral.
because the forest burns, releases all that carbon, and then it grows back and sucks it right back out of the atmosphere.
Exactly. The text describes it really poetically. It says, the planet breathes in this slow, deep rhythm. It's violent, sure, animals die, but the system is stable. It's not bothered by our methane leaks or factory farms.
That is such a fascinating way to frame it. It's chaotic on the ground, but it's completely stable at the atmospheric level.
Precisely. The system works. It just doesn't really care about the comfort of any one individual squirrel.
Okay, so the stage is set. Cool climate, stable systems, megafauna running the show. But our role, the main actor, is missing. And the text says nature hates a vacuum.
Right. Niche theory. If that niche of dominant intelligence is empty, who's going to step up?
Because brains are expensive, right?
Right.
Biologically speaking, we don't really think about that.
Incredibly expensive. The source notes that a big brain consumes something like 20% of your daily calories. It's a massive investment.
You have to eat a lot just to think.
You do. But without humans in the way, the text offers up 3 main candidates for who might take that spot.
Let's get into these because this is where the speculation gets really fun. Candidate number 1, the aquatic option.
Cephalopods, so octopuses and squids.
And in this timeline, without us overfishing and polluting the oceans, their populations are just exploding.
Absolutely, and they have the toolkit. They use tools, they solve complex problems. They're master communicators through their skin.
So why aren't they building underwater cities? Where is Squid Atlantis?
The source points to one massive, unbeatable technical hurdle.
Fire.
You can't start a fire underwater.
And without fire, you can't smelt metal, no advanced technology. They're stuck in the Stone Age, or I guess the Shell Age.
Forever. Plus, the source has this one line that just killed me. It compares them to Silicon Valley tech bros.
Ah, that's a sick burn. Why?
It's a perfect analogy. They're brilliant, they move incredibly fast, but they have a fatal flaw. They live for like a year or two, and they don't teach their young. The parents usually die before the babies even hatch.
So every single generation has to reinvent the wheel?
Exactly. No legacy. They're stuck in this loop of individual brilliance, but zero societal progress. No libraries, no schools, nothing.
Okay, so the squids are smart, but stuck. What about candidate number 2, the aerial option?
The corvid hegemony. We're talking crows and ravens.
Now this feels much more plausible to me. Crows are scary smart.
They are. The text points out they already understand causality, they use tools, and this is huge. They have social memory. They hold grudges.
They hold grudges.
Oh, absolutely. There are studies where researchers show that crows remember the individual faces of people who are mean to them, and they tell other crows about it.
No way.
Yes. So you can have crows yelling at you years later who weren't even there for the original incident.
That's terrifying. It's a vengeance-based hive mind.
So now imagine that intelligence just running unchecked for millions of years. The source describes these flocks of mega crows.
Mega crows.
Yeah, these huge coordinated flocks hunting on the mammoth steppes. They aren't just scavenging, they're organized.
So like a wolf pack, but for the sky.
Exactly. And unlike the octopus, they are deeply social. The text speculates they wouldn't build skyscrapers, obviously, because they can fly, but they might have a complex oral history.
Or as the text puts it, a coral history.
I groaned so loud when I read that pun.
Oh, I loved it. It's a perfect dad joke. But it makes sense. A culture built on stories and maybe even like a barter system with shiny objects.
A little pebble-based economy.
Ah.
It's low tech, but potentially very high culture.
I can see it. But then there's the third candidate, the wild card. And this one is my personal favorite,
The raccoon.
the trash panda. But wait a minute. Without humans, there's no trash.
And that's the evolutionary pressure. Think about the raccoon now. It has thumbs, it's clever, it's social, but in our world, they get fat and lazy eating our garbage. We've made life too easy for them.
So we're actually holding them back from their true potential.
We're their crutch. In the Un-Anthropocene, they have to actually work for a living. They're forced to become cooperative hunters.
The lack of garbage forces them to level up their skills.
Precisely. The text suggests that you give them another 5 million years, and you might see the rise of Procyon sapiens.
A civilization of little banded masked people.
A society that holds the ritual of washing their food as their highest value.
I can just imagine their sacred texts. Everything must be dunked in the stream first.
It's funny, but it's also biologically plausible. They have what the others don't. Hands. The crows have beaks. The octopuses have tentacles. Raccoons have hands. That's the gateway to complex tool use.
So we've got a world of giant sloths, geoengineering mammoths, and maybe a rising civilization of raccoon people.
Yeah.
It sounds vibrant.
Vibrant is exactly the right word, and that really brings us to the synthesis of this whole deep dive. When you look at the total picture the source paints, it is a world that is cooler, fuller, and wilder.
And it forces you to confront that final irony. I mean, we spend so much of our time trying to save the planet, right? Save the rainforest, protect the polar bears, stop the ice from melting.
And yet, if you look at the world described in this text, all of those things are more secure in the timeline where we simply don't exist.
The beaches are wider because the ice hasn't melted.
The avocados are everywhere because the sloths are still doing their job.
The climate is stable because we're not there messing with the thermostat.
It really makes you reconsider our role. The source ends with this implied cynicism that I found really stuck with me. It just challenges the entire idea that we're the protagonists.
It asks that tough question. Are we the hero of Earth's story? Or are we just the anomaly? We see the Earth as a stage that was built for us, but this text argues the play was going just fine before we stumbled on set and started knocking everything over.
It suggests we're an interruption. A brilliant, loud, destructive, but maybe very short-lived interruption. And the planet is just sort of waiting for it to be over so it can get back to that slow, deep rhythm.
That's a humbling thought.
Yeah.
We think of nature as this fragile thing we have to protect, but this suggests nature is the real beast, and we're just poking it.
Exactly. Nature doesn't need us to save it. It just needs us to stop breaking it. Or in this case, it never needed us at all.
Well, on that cheerful note, next time you see a crow staring at you from a power line,
Or a raccoon washing its little hands in a puddle with a bit too much focus,
you should probably look at them with a little more suspicion. They might just be waiting for their turn on the throne.
they're just biding their time.
That is all for this deep dive into the Earth that never was. A look at the world we missed out on. We'll catch you on the next one.
Stay curious.